So she's
I mean,
a
they
serial
sound reasonable.
fraudster. That's called fraud. She's a Me Too victim there. That's absurd. She seems like kind of a jerk. Wow, she's like kind of a bully. She's rather mean. She claims he sexual harassed her, and then by the time they premiered the movie, they weren't even speaking to each other. She made him stay in the basement, and Ryan Reynolds turned on him too. And then she claimed that he unleashed a bad PR campaign against her.
Blake Lively is falling after Megyn Kelly exposed her in the most merciless way years have let. Blake created the picture of perfection, perfect, sophisticated Hollywood's golden girl, but Megyn simply tore that front apart, exposing a long history of dishonesty, power plays, and victimizing behavior when things didn't go her way even before Blake took over. Finish with us, steamrolling Justin Baldoni. She was already laying her empire of control back in her Gossip Girl years. She then said she was really a good man, thus the whole smear campaign was useless, a power flex for no other purpose. She claimed to have poisoned the cast against Penn Badgley only out of dislike, not for any major purpose. Blake's split with Leighton is another such example. Blake obsessed on celebrities, Leighton focused on performance. By the time the show ended, their friendship was dead. Today, Leighton is not defending her, and the receipts are readily seen back in 2022. Blake stood on stage at the Forbes Power Women's Summit, unintentionally disclosing the exact thing Baldoni is suing her for. She admitted tricking her way into roles, posing as an eager actress before taking over shows behind the scenes. She also joked about how directors felt duped upon learning what she was doing. And now Baldoni is bringing her before courts for exactly that. His lawsuit makes this rather clear. Blake pretended to be just an actress in It Ends With Us, then drove him out of his own film, overrode his artistic vision, and grabbed control. This was not a one-time betrayal as it happens. Blake has been perfecting this method for years, starting with little artistic ideas, then assuming complete control. Baldoni was not a Hollywood powerhouse, unlike the well-known directors she had under control. The directors she opposed were either driven out, silenced, or outmaneuvered. He neither was Christopher Nolan nor Dennis. Blake pounced, exposed as he was. She first behaved politely, but soon she started changing scripts, making executive decisions, treating the film as though it belonged to her. By the time It Ends With Us, Baldoni had disappeared completely. Blake started to get cocky here. The same lines she boldly mentioned in 2022 are now evidence against her. The man who fought for this movie was not even let at his own premiere while Blake took front stage. Not new, what was once a flex today shows industry-wide manipulation. In 2019, Baldoni acquired rights for his years-long passion project, It Ends With Us. Years of work were spent on Wayfarer Studios, his production company, producing a film faithful to the message of the book on domestic violence. Then, the second Blake intervened and ripped it away from him. Originally Baldon's dream project, this turned into her most recent power grab. This time she is at last being caught. Originally looking to be a big movie triumph, Blake Lively's portrayal of Lily Bloom in It Ends With Us in April 2023 looks to be a disaster. Blake should have been perfect, an A-list actress connected to a great book with a loyal following, but behind the scenes, she was grabbing power instead of just acting. Production insiders claimed Blake insisted on complete scale, not minor, changes in the script. Neither Justin Baldoni nor the original creative team approved almost immediately upon casting. She said some scenes had to be altered to fit Lily's vision, but over time it was clear this had little bearing on teamwork. It dealt with mid-2023 control. Blake's impact transcended the writing. Late 2023, Blake had final cut approval, a prerogative typically reserved for directors or studios. Baldoni fast losing his grip on the film, officials seemed surprised by her newly acquired influence. It ends with, by the time early 2024 filming wrapped, stopped feeling like Baldoni's project. The much-awaited It Ends With Us had completely replaced Justin Baldoni in May 2024 during the premiere. Blake Lively had grabbed hold of things. The premiere was in New York City. It should have been Baldoni's moment. He had spent 5 years organizing the film, securing the rights and directing it, but upon arrival, he had to stay in the basement. Several reports confirmed that Baldoni was kept out of sight, a footnote in Blake's own production. While he strolled the red carpet and took front stage, Blake declined to see. Him there at the event made it quite clear that this was her night, Her movie, her chance to shine. Sources said Baldoni was obviously uncomfortable, knowing he had been taken out of the film he produced hours before the premiere. Ryan Reynolds obviously made a statement by following Justin Baldoni on Instagram. Blake had severed all relationships. For Hollywood insiders, a film conflict had developed into a total personal and professional severance. Blake's well-chosen image started to crack right away. Baldoni's actions were intentional. They were not a mistake. As more details emerged, it became impossible to ignore just how far Blake was ready to go to guarantee this was her film, no matter who got crushed in the process. Megyn Kelly targets Blake Lively. Megyn Kelly is never one to hold back, thus her destruction of Blake's PR perfect image in February of 2025 rocked the entertainment landscape. During a scene on The Megyn Kelly Show, she made it rather clear that this was karma rather than a media witch hunt. She mentioned a press junket buried for a long time and mostly forgotten until it was unearthed in 2025 and went viral in hours during the catching up process. Cafe Society was buried. The interview initially seemed normal. A Swedish journalist called Kirsty sent Blake a nice congrats on her pregnancy, a quite benign comment. Blake answered angrily, coldly, and humiliatively. Instead of smiling and moving on like a normal person, Blake swung around telling Kirsty she too had a baby bump. Kirsty was not pregnant, she cannot have become pregnant going forward either. Blake's remarks were deliberate, according to Kirsty, and the tape confirmed this. They were not the result of an accident, a slip-up, or an honest mistake. Blake, this isn't a joke. This event sharpened the awareness of many beginning to experience. Blake Lively stole Baldon's project, undermined others for fun, and was not the Hollywood sweetheart she seemed to be at the time she was hurting his career. Her perfect public relations front was falling apart for real at last. Blake Lively was rather acting aggressively, she was not having fun. The camera caught her contemptuous attitude, haughtiness, smile, and avoidance of eye contact. These all were maintained on picture. When Posey sat next to her co-star Parker, she laughed with him, so feeding the negative attitude of the high school bully. What should have been a professional interview turned out to be a public humiliation, with journalist Kirsty on the receiving end of Blake's intended hate for many years. Kirsty hid the footage since she was afraid of getting in trouble. Blake was more than just a Hollywood actress. She was also strong, well-connected, and rather difficult to approach. Given Blake's manipulative past coming to light, Kirsty's job could have been lost should she have objected. When Blake's meticulously created portrayal of America's sweetheart was destroyed, the second the clip went viral on the internet and she felt, at last, comfortable enough to expose the truth, Blake had broken pictures. 48 hours later, Blake's public relations team entered full mitigating mode. Articles detailing Blake's discomfort working with Justin Baldoni appeared in several well-known publications, including People magazine and TMZ. Then, fresh allegations surfaced claiming Baldoni had harassed her sexually while they were filming. Industry sources swiftly corrected this, noting that she had only asked about Blake's weight for a physically demanding performance, a standard of safety, and that she had a recorded back condition. Still, Blake's team crafted the story such that it would generate discussion. The dishonesty was rather obvious. Blake, who appeared on camera disparaging a journalist's appearance, has expressed she wants sympathy for what she thought to be a body-shaming act. People began to question whether her whole conflict with Baldoni was a front for covering from her own actions instead of helping her. This showed that the people did not find her story appealing. The improperly leaked letters matched the behavior which attracted Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift into the hot debate. Blake called them her dragons, her personal enforcers, dispatched to publicly defend her upon demand. Blake kept private books with this stuff in them. Baldoni's Instagram unfollowing was a planned Hollywood show of respect where appearances most count. Ryan wasted no time proving his allegiance and playing his part. Taylor was not exactly fast to follow, although his underlying allegiance said volumes. Long ago, Blake had been flaunting their friendship, supporting her image with it. On the other hand, Taylor gently left the event upon its collapse. To find Blake had used her in a personal dispute, she apparently felt stunned. Taylor was managing her own public relations problems, thus she did not want to interact with Blake since it involved a risk she was not ready to accept. She neglected not only Blake but also backed Justin. She simply chose to say nothing. Silence has more weight than words in Hollywood. Blake was feverishly trying to rewrite the narrative the media was covering, while Baldoni was getting ready for the real battle scheduled for the beginning of 2025. His legal team sued the New York Times for slander under the direction of the formidable attorney Brian Fredman. The real shock, though, came when Baldoni's team sent text messages attesting to Blake's claims being either completely manufactured or exaggerated. They charged the publication of baseless, biased assertions bolstering Blake's false accusations given without evidence, since none existed. Clear receipts instead of nebulous assertions prevailed. Not the lawsuit or the pirated books. The actual turning point was the quiet revolution under progress right in front of Blake's eyes at the beginning. Colleen Hoover was on Blake's side at the beginning of the event, in addition to being highly motivating of him. Still, in February 2025, things started to change. Social media followers of Hoover found she had erased all Blake references from her records. There are neither transcripts, postings, nor interviews. The same woman Blake aimed to control had gently vanished from life, almost as though she had never engaged with her at all. She seems to have hardly really connected with her at all. It is difficult to see how Blake Lively might possibly get out of this, given the weight of the facts against her.